The observation deck of Station Kepler 9 hummed with the usual buzz of interspecies commerce when Rika first noticed the human teacher. She was unremarkable by most standards, average height for her species. Brown hair pulled into what humans called a ponytail, wearing the standard civilian jumpsuit in faded blue. But it was what she did next that caught Rika's compound eyes. The human, her badge read, Miss Sarah Chen, Cultural Exchange Educator, entered the childcare facility adjacent to the deck, removed her outer garment, and hung it carefully on a designated hook. Then she smoothed it down with her small, dexterous fingers. Rika's mandibles clicked in confusion. The Vrexian hive coordinator had been managing Station Kepler 9's multi-species childcare program for 3 cycles now, and never had she seen such deliberate care for something so mundane as clothing storage. Fascinating, isn't it? Jer's gravelly voice resonated from behind her. The Corthian security officer was massive even by his species standards, nearly 3 meters of scaled muscle and predatory grace. His species had been apex hunters on their homeworld for millennia before achieving spaceflight. Humans and their rituals. It's inefficient, Rika buzzed, her wings fluttering with agitation. Why waste motor control on garment placement? Jer's throat sacs inflated in what his species used for amusement. You've been watching her for 3 days now. Clearly, it's not just inefficiency, you see. He was right, of course. Rika had been observing because something about the human's behavior triggered her hive mind's analytical protocols. Humans were persistence predators. Everyone in the Galactic Union knew that much. They were the species that had chased prey across continents for days. The ones who had climbed to the top of their food chain through sheer, stubborn refusal to quit. But this was different. The human began her daily routine with the younglings, a mixed group of species that included 2 Corthian cubs, 3 Vrexian larvae, and a handful of others. The Corthian cubs, Jer's nephew and niece among them, were particularly difficult. Their hunting instincts emerged early, making them prone to aggressive play, territorial disputes, and general chaos. Miss Chen started with what she called circle time. She sat cross-legged on the floor, another peculiar human behavior, and waited. The younglings eventually settled around her, drawn by curiosity more than obedience. Today, she said in perfectly accented galactic common, we're going to talk about taking care of our space. Rika watched through the observation glass as the human demonstrated hanging various items. Bags, coats, tools on the hooks installed at child height around the room. Each movement was deliberate, almost ceremonial. She explained the reasoning. Organization prevents loss, respecting shared space shows consideration for others, and small habits build discipline for larger challenges. The younglings watched with the sort of attention that usually only food or threats commanded. Over the following weeks, something remarkable happened. The Corthian cubs, natural-born hunters who should have dismissed such domesticated behavior as weakness, began mimicking the human. At first, they did it mockingly, slamming their belongings onto hooks with excessive force. But Miss Chen never scolded them. She simply smiled and said, "Good job. Tomorrow, let's try gentle hands." Jer noticed the change before Rika did. His nephew, Tor, had been a nightmare at home, leaving his hunting practice gear scattered, his feeding area in disarray, his sleeping nest a disaster. Then, one evening, Jer came home to find the cub carefully arranging his belongings. "The human teacher says warriors keep their weapons clean and ready," Tor had explained, his young eyes gleaming with pride. "She says, discipline in small things makes you strong in big things." Rika saw it too. Her larvae, who processed information through collective chemical signals, began organizing their cubicle spaces. They created designated areas for different activities: feeding, learning, resting. The hive coordinator had tried for months to instill such organization, but the larvae had always reverted to chaotic clustering. When asked why they'd changed, one larva responded, "Miss Chen says even the smallest actions matter. She says humans survived their world by paying attention to details. We want to be detail watchers too." The station's other administrators noticed. Species that had barely tolerated each other's younglings in shared spaces suddenly reported decreased conflicts. The childcare facility's damage reports dropped by 73%. Interspecies cooperation exercises, previously disasters, now ran smoothly. Rika finally approached the human one afternoon after the younglings had been collected by their parents. "I need to understand," the Vrexian said, her translator clicking rapidly. "You are teaching predator cubs, species bred for hunting, for dominance to hang up their jackets. Why does this work?" Miss Chen smiled, that peculiar human expression that showed teeth but somehow wasn't threatening. "Because I'm not really teaching them to hang up jackets. Then what? I'm teaching them that they have control. That they can choose to be organized instead of chaotic. That small acts of discipline are actually small acts of power." She gestured to the neat rows of hooks, each one holding a carefully placed item. "Predators understand power. I'm just showing them a different kind." Jur, who'd been listening from his security post, let his throat sacs fully inflate. "You're teaching them to hunt themselves. To prey on their own disorder." "Exactly, Miss." Chen began gathering her materials, preparing to leave. "Humans became apex predators by hunting everything, including our own worst instincts. Every time a child hangs up their jacket instead of throwing it on the floor, they're choosing order over chaos. They're hunting laziness and killing it." She pulled on her own jacket, smoothed it down, then took it off and hung it on her designated hook. "We're persistence predators," she continued. "We don't give up. Not on prey, not on problems, and especially not on potential. These cubs have incredible potential. I'm just persistent enough to show them how to reach it. One small habit at a time." Rika's mandibles clicked in what might have been understanding. "And the jackets on the floor?" Miss Chen laughed. "Oh, they still throw them on the floor sometimes. They're kids. But now they know better. And knowing better is the first step to doing better. Give them time. Humans are good at persistence. But these cubs? They're learning." 3 months later, the Galactic Union's Educational Board requested Miss Chen's methods be documented for wider distribution. The report noted unprecedented success in managing mixed-species early development programs. But Jer and Rika knew the real story. They'd watched a human teacher take the cubs of predator species beings, designed by evolution for dominance and aggression, and teach them something more powerful than hunting. She taught them choice. And every jacket hung carefully on a hook, instead of thrown carelessly on the floor, was proof that even the fiercest predators could learn from humanity's greatest skill: the patient, persistent pursuit of being better than they were yesterday.